everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ. Before I get started, let me give a very special shout out, first of all, to Adrian, who was the former NoDQ Super Chat champion. He sent in a very generous donation on the last YouTube premiere. However, he got beat for the championship by Mike B, who left a bigger Super Chat donation, thus making him, Mike B, the reigning and defending No DQ Super Chat champion. So congratulations to Mike B. I appreciate it very much. Who will be the next champion? If you're watching the YouTube premiere of this video, if you leave the single biggest Super Chat during the premiere, you will become the new Super Chat champion. With that being said, let's get down to your questions. This question comes from SCW Wrestling Channel. Even when audiences return and WWE don't have to do shows at the PC, do you think it's time for NXT Takeovers to start having pay-per-view names instead of locations? We can have War Games and In Your House. If your answer is yes, then which classic pay-per-view names would you want? Great question. I would like to see WWE do more of this with NXT. I really enjoyed the In Your House format and even using the In Your House set. I think back to some past WWE pay-per-views. Any pay-per-view that had a cool set, I would be down for using in NXT. Maybe Backlash. How about some WCW pay-per-views like Halloween Havoc? I would love to see a takeover Halloween Havoc, and you could have the big pumpkin as part of the set. How about King of the Ring? I've been arguing about King of the Ring coming back for the longest time as a pay-per-view. If the main roster is not going to do it, then why not NXT? Do a King of the Ring pay-per-view with the NXT superstars, or even Queen of the Ring with the female NXT superstars, and you can even have that replace the Mae Young Classic and do that as a tournament on pay-per-view. I have this question from Jonathan Aaron. Thank you for this, Jonathan. He says, do you think AEW creating a women's tag team championship is a mistake with such few female stars? What are your thoughts on the women's championship? I think her not being able to speak English is a problem, especially without a manager. Your thoughts? There is a tournament going on in AEW, a tag team tournament, but at this time, it's only for a trophy. I think it's too soon for AEW to do women's tag team titles. I do not think that they have enough depth with the women's roster. As far as Hikaru Shida goes and her being champion, I think that she's a very solid wrestler. I think it hurts a little bit in the United States, her not being able to cut a convincing promo in English, but we've seen other women be able to succeed despite that. Look at Asuka, for instance. She has done very well despite the language issues. If you can go out there and show personality, then it's not the end of the world if you cannot cut promos in English. There are some people like Asuka for the women or Shinsuke Nakamura for the guys. If you have the charisma and personality, you can overcome that. Now, the question is, does Shida have that charisma? I think she's a very solid wrestler, and I think that's what's helping her right now. And maybe if she had some credible challengers, that could help out with her and develop her character even further. Right now, there's just not a lot of options for her. Britt Baker's probably the best pick to face her for the title, but Britt Baker's been out of action with injury, thus Shida hasn't really had many options as far as opponents go. This question comes from Vegeta Knows the Wrestles. Do you think we will ever see an NXT star ever win the Royal Rumble, either the men's or the women's? Yes, I could definitely see that happening. However, I feel like it would be a circumstance where the winner was going to the main roster. So winning the Royal Rumble would be that wrestler's way to get out of NXT and debut on the main roster. But yes, I do think it will happen. Maybe Keith Lee wins the Royal Rumble next year. You never know. Maybe Io Shirai wins the Royal Rumble next year. Anything's possible, and I definitely think it could happen at some point. This question comes from my buddy Oofman Rules, Oscar. He says, I'm guessing it's highly unlikely in all likelihood, but for argument's sake, what are the odds of Kairi Sane ending up in AEW? I do feel that they're slim. However, I would not rule anything out. My gut feeling is that if Kairi Sane comes back to the United States sometime down the line to wrestle again, I think it'll be with WWE. I feel like she had a good spot there. She's well liked. She could go to AEW, but why? I mean, yeah, there's an opportunity there, but at the same time, she was doing pretty well in WWE. She wasn't world champion or anything, but she was getting a good amount of TV time on Raw. The Kabuki Warriors did well, and WWE let her beat Bayley on her way out. If that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what will. I think the fact that Bayley lost to Kairi Sane shows that WWE wanted to give her a good send-off and keep everything cordial between the two sides. I feel like we will probably see her again someday in some capacity. I don't know if it's going to be full-time. She might come back for a one-off, who knows, but I think that both sides want to keep the door open for a possible return sometime in the future. I have this question from Kenny. Kenny asks, if WWE continues making WrestleMania 2 nights from now on, could you see the Royal Rumble becoming a 2-night show as well? 2 Rumbles in a night kills the crowd. I think if you start doing this with multiple pay-per-views, the whole 2-night concept, it's going to get watered down. The thing that would make WrestleMania special would be it's the only pay-per-view that does 2 nights. WrestleMania is truly too big for 2 nights. Now, could you potentially do that? If there was another pay-per-view where that would be considered, I think the Royal Rumble is a solid option because of the 2 Royal Rumble matches. I do feel like 2 Royal Rumble matches in one night, it's a lot. It's a lot to sit through. The matches are very fun to watch, but it also doesn't feel as special when you do 2 in one night. At least if you separate them, then you have the first Rumble and you can just focus on that, and then you have a full 24 hours to think about the second one and get ready for that one. I do like the idea, but beyond that, I would not do it for any other shows. This question comes from Rollins versus Styles again, please. Hey Aaron, what was your personal favorite Undertaker entrance? I really liked the WrestleMania 14 entrance when he came out to face Kane and you had the Druids with the torches. Of course, WrestleMania 20, Undertaker returning to the Dead Man gimmick for the first time since he had become the American Badass character. And SummerSlam 94 was great. Even though the match itself was terrible, I was really impressed with that entrance. Paul Bearer with the urn and the light shining around the arena. It was epic. Unfortunately, the bell rang and there was a match, but the entrance was pretty cool, seeing The Undertaker for the first time since the Royal Rumble when Yokozuna took him out. This question comes from Sun Goshiku, Josh. He says, how well do you think a pre-taped Hell in a Cell match could work during this time in a bigger building, where wrestlers could safely do spots off and through the cell roof, landing on big crash mats out of frame, then bumping from a safe distance into frame? You might be onto something here, Josh. I could definitely see WWE doing this, and I think it could work. I know some people might say, oh, they clearly landed on a crash pad, but WWE's already been doing spots like this, and if it's shot well and it's not really noticeable, and you can make people suspend disbelief, I think it's fine. I think WWE should definitely consider doing that, and it would not shock me at all if for the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view or match, whenever they do it, I suspect they're going to do it. They might have to find a different venue to do the match. I'm not sure if they can get that big cell in the Performance Center. I'm not even sure how tall that roof is and how that would work, but they might have to do a different venue for that. And yeah, I think that that would be a safe way to do some spectacular looking stuff for the match. And I'm all about safety. And I think if you can shoot it well and make it look good, go for it. Why not? That will wrap things up for this edition of No DQ&A Video. Thank you all so much for your continued viewership and support. If you enjoyed this video, please share a link on social media. Tell a friend, spread the word. Word of mouth goes a long way. And send me questions at Aaron Rift on Twitter using the hashtag PAIV. Subscribe. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest, and I will see you guys next time.